In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, Amen. We are back on the walk maxing grind here. The last few videos have all been on the whiteboard, been getting into some deep topics. But just gonna go for a walk with this one. I've got a few notes here, and I wanted to share just some basic thoughts around social media and phone usage and how I've managed that in my own life and the life of some of my clients. To be honest, it's one of the biggest questions that I get. How do I break this addiction? How do I stop spending as much time on my phone? And I think it's a much deeper problem than we are aware of, not just societally, but also individually, in terms of how much time, attention, and energy it draws away from us. So just got 3 practical tips that you can implement right now into your life to help reduce the negative impacts that these incredibly powerful and addictive devices have. So hopefully this will help you. We'll get right into it. I guess the first thing to preface is that this is literally a $1 trillion industry. Like, they're some of the top 10 companies in the world. I don't know how many of them are social media companies, at least 3, maybe 7, that have a direct economic incentive on keeping your eyes glued to the screen. Every extra second that you spend on the phone, on these apps, is more money in their pockets and in the shareholder value. So you have to understand that these platforms and algorithms are not designed for your well-being, for your flourishing, for your healthy mental state. They capitalize on anger, on sadness, on friction, on all of the things that build within you an emotional reaction that makes you engage more, that makes you look more. All of these mechanisms within our human biological makeup, even the fact that the notification buttons are red. You have to understand that this isn't just a neutral thing that you engage with when you want to. It's something that's designed to hook you in and spend more time on it than you want. It's just like a drug, These drugs do not have your well-being in mind. They're not designed to help you become fitter, stronger, and healthier. They're designed so you continue using them and build dependency on them. And it's the exact same with social media. And I don't mean to just make that as some sort of empty analogy, but neurologically speaking, the social media apps capitalize on the same mechanisms that addict us to drugs and substances and sexual pleasure. And that's really the point that I'm trying to make there, that this isn't just a behavior or a thing that you can take or leave at your own volition, that it has to be treated like a substance or an animal that is dangerous, that if you get close to it, like Odysseus' Sirens, the story of the Sirens, that it's this island full of, I don't know if they're mermaids or whatever, that the actual name of the creature is a siren. And if you get too close from your ship, they begin singing and you'll basically go and land and they will devour you because they're cannibals or whatever. So the whole shore is covered in bones of sailors who heard the call and it was so sweet to their ears and they went there and they died. And Odysseus is like to his men, I want to hear the sound of the sirens, but you'll have to tie me to the mast and you will all have to block your ears. So as soon as they get in range, Odysseus starts hearing this and he starts screaming at his men to release him, that he's their captain and he needs to order them to let them go. And of course the men don't and they sail past. But if it hadn't been for Odysseus getting tied to the mast, he would have fallen. And that's exactly how we need to approach this. So anyway, on to the 3 tips. Keep in mind, this is a dangerous thing that wants you addicted, that wants you weak, that wants you enslaved to the screen. Step 1, physical protocols. Don't use your phone sitting down or in bed. Simple as that. If you're in bed, you should be sleeping. Don't be scrolling on your phone. Don't be lying on the couch on your phone. That will already minimize a huge amount of extra usage that you probably don't intend. Same thing applies for meals and going to the toilet. I'll talk about that a bit further, but don't use your phone in this leisurely kind of relaxed pose when you have nothing to do. Horrible idea. If you're calling someone, you might say, oh, well, if I'm calling my friend, I want to lie on the couch, I want to be comfortable, go for a walk. I can't tell you the amount of phone calls that I take, whether they're video or audio, just walking down the side of the road. It's healthy, it's productive, fresh air, sunlight, and you still get to have a great conversation. and leave the phone outside your bedroom. You know, not only is it going to disrupt your sleep by it being in there, the frickin' EMF, the temptation to pick it up, but you just don't need it. Like leave the phone in the bathroom, maybe just outside your door with the alarm, and then when it wakes up, you know, this is a good trick to help yourself not snooze. You have to physically get up and walk across the room to turn it off, but you need to have very clear boundaries that the phone doesn't go in the bedroom, that when you're going to bed, you turn off the phone, you put it on airplane mode, and then you move into your night prayer or some reading before bed. But don't just have the phone present in every step and aspect of your life. Use it when you need to, and where there's physical times like study, I recommend these same things while studying, that you don't need to use it, physically put it away, physically turn it off, leave it somewhere, leave it in your bag. And that's already, it's about not giving yourself the option like Odysseus. Tie yourself to the mast. Don't have it right beside you where you can pick it up. All right, that's step one. Now, if you need accountability with this, I was going to mention this to you guys because I haven't. I do help people and I work with people one-on-one around these kinds of habits, disciplines, and routines. So if that's interesting to you, check out the link below and I'll let you know what we can do. Second, intentionality. You need to increase the time between that moment when you're feeling restless and you getting the comfort and satisfaction, the hit from the phone. So what do I mean by that? When you're bored or distracted at work or while you're studying, there's going to be a desire to alleviate that boredom by picking up your phone, as I said before, even if you have nothing to do. So you need to place boundaries, whether they be physical, whether they be putting the grayscale filter on your phone so it's less attractive, putting the social media apps on this folder, using something like Shift, which is an app blocker, putting time limits on the apps. You need to increase the amount of time and make it difficult for you to instantly alleviate that boredom every time you feel it. Most people don't have any of those boundaries in place, and that's why they're like rats clicking the button in those experiments. Click, reward, click, reward, click, reward. That's what you are when you're constantly getting that hit, getting that distraction. So increase the time and be conscious and aware of your inclination to do that. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. This happens to me all the time, but for example, now when I do quote unquote deep work sessions or study, I'm just going to leave my phone in the kitchen. Like, I'm pretty focused. I can usually study all right, but why should I be picking it up if I'm already committed to doing an hour or two of study? I have no reason to be on my phone at all. So I just leave it outside the room. And I know that there's scientific studies about this that show that even if the phone is physically present in the room, even if you're not using it, your brain has an awareness of that and it reduces brain capacity by like 20%. So that's something to be aware of and to start practicing. So not just the physical boundaries, which was point number one, but intentionally putting those boundaries and increasing that distance between you being bored and you embracing the task in front of you and the distraction, the comfort, the little dopamine hit that the phone provides. Finally, this might be the most important one for you to reflect on and take into the rest of your life. Does this bring me closer to God or not? And the answer is going to be a very clear yes or no for a lot of these things. I remember when the Epstein files came out, and don't get me wrong, I was already aware of all of the stuff many years before from Darryl Cooper, but seeing that pop up on my feed and the stories and people talking about it and whatever, it almost puts like a spiritual malaise on you. And that is because I'm now hyper exposed, and it was the same with the war between Iran and Israel. You know, I'm not going to get into my views on that, but seeing this conflict and the bloody fuel prices going up and people are in outrage, and the Epstein files were just before, I'm here at home on the farm, with a beautiful wife and work ahead of me and money coming in and, you know, living the dream really, living my purpose. And now I'm in like a bad mood or a bad spiritual state because there's all of this crap that's being fed to me by the phone. And I'm not saying to be completely ignorant, but there's something to be said. Why did I put all that stuff in my head? Or why did I allow all of that stuff to be fed into my head when it's literally detracting from my life? And you have to just get to the point where it's like, well, I either have to cut this off or severely adjust it so it's not feeding me all of these negative inputs. So is the content that you're consuming and the amount of content that you're consuming, look at your screen time. It's measured there right for you to tell you how much of a retard you are for spending all that time on your phone. Is that influencing your life for the better? Or is it preventing you from building a deep interior life? Is it frying your ability to focus and pray? Is it meaning that you're distracted when you study and you're not actually fulfilling that vocation and area of your life? Like, I think most of you, if you ask yourself the question, I mean, unless you watch my videos, this is the obvious exception, but all the crap that you're watching, is that making you better or worse? Is that bringing you closer to God or further away from Him? And you have to understand that you don't just get to turn off the phone and then enter this perfect, peaceful, focused state of mind. It's like vice and virtue. The more that you're addicted to doom scrolling and you click all the buttons and rat, reward, rat, button, reward, button, reward, button, reward, the more that your brain is trained to operate in that 10 to 15 second reward window. And it's going to make it a lot harder for you to persevere in behaviors that are genuinely meaningful. Anything that is meaningful requires a lot longer time commitment, whether that be relationships, physical training, prayer. That all requires you to extend the time frame on which you're operating on. And all that the phone does is seek to reduce that. So, it's not like you just turn off the phone and you get to an instant state of a clear mind. That's why you have to put these habits in. That's why you have to tie yourself to the mast in order to preserve and build that peace of mind. The more that you're able to get control of the phone and limit its impact and presence in your life, the easier that you're going to find it to live with intention in other areas of your life and cultivate a life of prayer. As I said, you can't just be scrolling for 7 hours and then expect to have a great 30 to 60 minutes of clarity and goal setting. The definition of a meaningful life is that everything you do matters. Every single action, every single minute. So use that criteria when you're going through and auditing your phone use. Is this bringing me closer to God or further away? So I'll leave you with that, guys. 1, physical usage. 2, intentionally increasing the space between your boredom and the distraction that you get from your phone. 3, criteria. Does this bring me closer to God or further away? So I'll leave you with that, guys. Quick call to actions on my part. The first is that if you're in Australia or New Zealand, we've got the St. Michael's Troops events coming up in May. So basically across all the major cities, group of men getting together, praying, training, doing martial arts, some formation with a talk from a leader in the community, and then we finish off with a barbecue. So if you want men in your life that are encouraging you to hold the standard that we speak about here on the channel, fitforthekingdom.com.au, get a ticket for the next event. Secondly, the Legion. If you want the online version of this, we have a online community which costs you 2 coffees a week, not very expensive, and we intend that the value that you get out of that group is more than the cost of those 2 coffees. So we have weekly coaching calls, courses, weekly wins, highlights, challenges, value within the channels. It's a great community, great group of guys, and it's only growing and getting better. So If you feel like that's something that might be helpful to you and hold you accountable, check it out, link is in the bio. And finally, I've got a few slots open to working with me one-on-one in terms of implementing these habits, these standards, and not just giving you the information, because as you know, information's only about 10% of the overall picture, but actually giving you the accountability and the mental mindset and boundaries for you to actually execute on this stuff. Majority of you watching this already know what you need to do. You already know what you don't need to do and avoid, but you struggle to execute in your life. And that's a lack of conviction, it's a lack of intention, and it's a lack of someone or something holding you accountable to those things. So if you want to explore working with me, I've got systems to put all of this in place. I've already worked with a large number of people. I'm good at what I do. I'm not being prideful, I'm just being honest. And I can help you out if you need help. So just reach out to me if that's the case. I'll leave a link to that below as well. Let me know if you found the video helpful, leave a comment, and may God bless you.